Do we have 7? No. Really? Someone's phone's got 7? I know, you're a pain in the ass. Someone could be running in, and they make it at 7. Since 1958, the last time there was a town meeting held in this building? Wow. 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 Okay, we got 7 o'clock? Yes, 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 yes. Why not? 7 o'clock it is. Thank you, folks. Well, you never know. Someone comes in at the hour of 7. Good evening and welcome to Tingsboro's special town meeting. Now that you're all comfortable. Folks, now that you're all comfortable, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to entertain a motion to allow the following non-residents to address the meeting if necessary. Attorney Charles Zaroulis, Town Administrator Kurt Bellavance, and Assistant Town Administrator Matt Hanson. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That does carry. Warrant article number 1. Appropriation from Community Preservation Community Fund. To see if the town will vote that the following sums be appropriated and transfer from estimated annual revenues of the Community Preservation Fund for the fiscal year 2017, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation for the payment of community preservation projects to be expended by the Board of Selectmen. Appropriation, First Parish Meeting House, roof replacement, painting, steeple, and column repair, $128,000. First Parish Meeting House, review interior needs, mechanical, plumbing, electrical code, compliance, and accessibility, $50,000. Total CPC appropriations, $178,000, or take any other action relative thereto. To have a motion on Article 1.
Mr. Moderator, Darrell Wickens, 47 Highland Street.
Thank you.
I move that the town vote to appropriate by transfer from the Community Preservation undesignated fund balance $128,000 for the exterior improvements of the First Parish Meeting House and $50,000 for study and design of the interior of the First Parish Meeting House to be expended by the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have an explanation, please? Why are we here?
Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Moderator. Kurt Bellavance, Town Administrator. The Board of Selectmen and Town Meeting had voted a few years back to purchase the First Parish Meeting House and prepare and do renovations on the building. We had an estimate at that time. I spoke with the former Town Administrator who said they had someone go through the building in an afternoon to try to get up with an estimate of that building and what the cost would be, and it was a quick estimate on what that was. We actually hired someone, prepared plans and specifications on what the work was needed to be done. We went out to bid, as we're required to by Massachusetts general law. We received 2 bids in for the project, the lowest bid being $363,800. We were approximately $74,000 short from that amount. The best and fastest way to get that project moving forward and being completed this summer, which would be painting, restoration of the clapboards on the building, a new roof, and repairs to the steeple, the structure itself, as well as the columns out front. The fastest and quickest way to do that was to have a special town meeting, to have the board, or have the town members vote to allow the additional funding of approximately $74,000 to meet that contract that was proposed through the bid process. Speaking with the community preservation and looking to use their funding for the project, because that's the original funding for that project. We discussed putting a 15% contingency in there If some of you may own an older home, you work with that. Some things arise as you go through the process and repairing. They suggested that we put a 15% contingency in there just in case something happens as they're doing the work on that project. The funding is all through community preservation, so whatever's not spent would remain as part of community preservation. It wouldn't be spent on anything additional. In speaking with community preservation, they had also said, well, we're moving forward with this project, which, if approved tonight, we'll have the contractors out in the next couple of weeks, and they'll start the project at the First Parish Meeting House and be done by the end of the summer, early fall. They also suggested that we take some money from using the community preservation, start looking at the interior of the building as well. That's the next step. We're just focusing on the exterior. They asked that if we could go out and solicit bids on hiring someone to prepare plans for the interior and have that done as well. So they offered an additional $50,000 to get that project moving forward. So we may possibly be coming back at the annual town meeting looking for some funding to do the interior renovations as well. But time will tell as we hire someone and get someone to look at that and estimate cost for that as well. But those are the two items listed as part of the Article 1. And happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Any further discussion? Article 1, special town meeting. Come right up, please.
My name is Bill Franks, Middlesex Road. I have a few questions. Didn't we budget originally, what was it, $280,000 to do the church? Wasn't it like the number for the rehab?
Looking for a little historical perspective.
That sounds about the approximate number, yes.
That's approximate number. What I don't understand is when they came in way over bid, why didn't you go back to rebid the job? I don't understand that. Why didn't you go back? Otherwise, you had two bidders. The bidders came in way over what we were planning for a budget. And you said there's been a cost of living because of 4 years. Well, the cost of living has probably come up about 10%. And this increase here is about 60%. So I don't understand that.
Mr. Moderator?
Yeah, please.
So the bidding, you have to understand this process has been going on for the last several years. We initially engaged in to purchase the building about 3 years ago. Through that time of purchasing the building, trying to appropriate funds for that building, and finally closing the deal on the purchase of that building, which took 2 additional years, there was more deterioration of that building, increasing the cost of fixing it. One of the problems by waiting so long to fix buildings in our town, it gets more and more expensive. There was some additional findings that took place, and also some of the money was appropriated to fix a leak in the building last winter, to shore up some of the winters so that we would stop additional deterioration, so we wouldn't be coming and asking for more money. Your question's a good one. It's just taking a lot of time. So we have the opportunity, everyone sitting in this room tonight has the opportunity with a simple yes vote that the scaffolding will go up on that building in July, and by the fall, you're gonna see a nice building sitting in our town center, something we've wanted for, 20 plus years in our town. So that's what you have the opportunity to do. That's what's before you right now.
Let me ask the question. I want to commend the board and so forth for finding the real owner of the church so we could buy it, not the pseudo fake medicine that claimed he owned it. And we ended up buying the church for less than we were planning on. Now, on those bids and so forth, at the Calvary Baptist Church in Lowell, we're just doing the steeple. And we had 3 people very competent, we vetted them out very well to do the church. And I had one of them up here in Tingsboro to look at the church and say, what has to be done in all the work. And he assured me there would be no trouble doing that church. He had a very competent, quality job at the price that we originally had in the budget. Okay, so I don't understand where this big increase is coming from. I know that things have happened and so forth. My feeling is you're trying to rush it through now. You've been stalling for so long. All of a sudden you got found money. The CPU money, you're spending like drunken sailors. Okay, all I'm saying is let's delay, let's put it off, and let's have a rebid and see if we can't get it done. I bet you if you can't get it done for $300,000, I'll pay the difference. How do you like that? That's my feeling about it, all right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
I take great exception with your terminology that we've been delaying this project or stalling this project. I take great offense at you saying that to this board, to the residents that are sitting here, and all the people that have worked so hard over the years to get this done. I'm unaware of anything that you've done on the side to have any type of contractor coming. I'm not aware of any of their qualifications, and I'm curious as to why they wouldn't bid on it when it was an open bidding process for that, and I'm not looking for you to respond to that at all. So I say that to you, but if you're not in favor of doing so, simply don't vote on it. I suspect there's probably a majority of the people sitting in this room who've come out here tonight that want that building done. We've worked diligently and hard. I've worked with 3 different administrations and many different board members, a lot of different committees in this town, and a lot of residents to get this done. And I thought to myself, this would probably be, in all the tenure that I've been on this board, the first time a town meeting, something came forward that everyone would simply vote yes and raise their hand, and that there'd be very little discussion on it. So,
Don't get me wrong, I appreciate all the work you've done and so forth. Okay, before when this came up at the town meeting, I brought up the question about why don't they give the church to the town? It's been so long and so forth. And of course, the answer back to me was, oh, would you give something away? Well, I know the Shermans were very good. They gave a lot of land was worth millions of dollars. Bella's given things and so forth. Okay, the things they promised and so forth. And then what happened? Now, it's been that period of time, and you're talking about the bidding. I had a fellow meet with the town administrator, very qualified. By the time he was not sent a notice to bid on the job, if you're not reading the paper, you wouldn't have the opportunity, unless you're on a select list to get there, that's all. By the time he was notified, he didn't have enough time to really bid the job. All I can say is I know that I'm very happy that we hired him for our church. He's very well qualified. He's probably done 100 churches up and down the coast. And he assured me, unless we're trying to build a Taj Mahal, that there'd be no problem in the original budget. And everybody here is happy because, oh, it cost us nothing. It's coming out of the CPU fund, you know. So do what you want. My feeling is I'm going to vote the way I feel. I would certainly vote against doing it unless you rebid it and you prove to me that the figure is reasonable.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Article number 1, Selectman?
Selectman Jackson and Attorney Zaroulis for, I'm going to guess, over 2 years, worked this project diligently, week in, week out, month in, month out. And I live in the neighborhood. If the church gets fixed up, it's going to cause me to smile. I appreciate the diligence that Attorney Zaroulis and Selectman Jackson put into this project in making it a reality for the town. Thank you.
Sir?
Denomi, I'm on the CPC as well as the building committee for the Old Town Hall and the church. When we, just to give a little background, when we were in the process of remodeling the Old Town Hall, we brought the contractor that was doing the project here, who is a DCAM certified contractor who's also using prevailing wage numbers and all that stuff. We brought that contractor over and his crew over, his estimating staff, to estimate the repairs on the Old Town Hall 3 years ago. It was not a rock-solid number. We needed some kind of number to go to the town with and say, this is what it's going to cost to fix it. So the number that we had wasn't perfect. Knowing that we are bound by the laws of prevailing wage, we have to kind of get what we're given. It's not going to be a cheap job. I'm sure if we could do it without that, we could do it for half the money, but we can't. The reality is it's not possible.
Right.
We need to follow the laws of the state of Massachusetts, and the number that we got, I don't think is crazy out of line for what it's gonna, what it's actually gonna cost compared to, and the number that we had was a pretty much, it was a good number, but it was a shoot from the hip number. It was not, and they didn't start digging, they didn't do what these guys did to come up with the number, because the engineers came in and they did the whole report, so everybody knew all the information. We spent the day over there trying to get information with the contractor. So it wasn't until the engineers got in there and they did the actual plan that we could figure out exactly what it needed. And I think that's where the difference in the number comes from. Obviously time too. And it's a really busy time out there trying to get contractors. Nobody wants to bid on this stuff. Nobody's got time. There's too much work out there right now. So the fact that we only got 2 contractors doesn't shock me. And these bids go out over the internet. Thousands of companies see these bids. It's not like, you have to be privy to these kind of bids. The bids are out there, and thousands of people see them every day as soon as they hit the wire.
Thank you. Any further explanation? Article 1.
At 2 Minuteman Drive. I like the fact that we have factored in the 15% contingency, because we all know when we've had work done that sometimes we find hidden things, or we see things, especially the age of the steeple. And I'm just wondering about the second appropriation, which is to study the interior. So I'm hoping, and you'll be able to answer for me, Mr. Administrator, through you, Mr. Moderator, are we planning on getting if this is approved tonight, are we planning on getting the study done promptly? And then in turn, because we know as time goes on, things change and costs change. So I know this is just to do the study, but sorry, but I must admit, in the 9 years or 10 years I've lived in this town, we spend a lot of money on studies, and then we just take the study and pile it up with our other studies. So I'd like to know what the timeline is as far as doing this study, and then what's our next plan of action once the study is looked at. Are we going to discuss it with the public and then bring it forth to our next annual town meeting in May, or are we looking at doing something this fall?
And this is on the interior.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead, Kurt.
Yes, thank you. The $50,000 is an estimate to get a firm in to take a look at the interior work. What they would look at is mechanical, electrical, they'd look at code compliance, accessibility, those types of things that are the interior. There's not, I'm not going to say there's major work, there's certainly repairs to the ceiling and issues like that that we'd want to address. I think it's a sufficient amount of time that they could prepare something that we would possibly be able to go out to bid prior to our annual town meeting in the spring, so that we would actually have an actual number that town meeting could vote on coming up at the annual town meeting if they decide they want to do interior renovations to the building. So this is the plan, to have that all in place. It should be sufficient enough time to have that done and have an estimate put together, and possibly even a bid for our annual town meeting next year.
Thank you.
We only have so much in the Community Preservation Committee Fund, as those people in that committee know. So if we give them adequate time to look at those numbers, just like you administrators look at those numbers, then hopefully we could bring it forth in May of next year. That would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Article 1.
Mr. Moderator,
Selectman?
I just wanted to bring it to the attention that that second bid was significantly higher than the bid that we currently want to accept. Mr. Administrator, what was that exact number? The second bid, how much higher?
Approximately $40,000 more.
So then if we put it out to bid again, that job won't get done this year. There'll be more deterioration, and I think it's smart to approve that appropriation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any last discussion? Article 1. Hearing none. All those in favor? We move pretty quick here. Come on. Okay, that's fine. Name and address.
Heather Belts, 12 Lumiere.
Go right ahead.
So what is the ultimate goal of this building? What are we doing with it? I know we're updating the exterior, but ultimately, what are we hoping that's going to come out of this? Like, it's going to be a meeting place? What?
Mr. Moderator?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. That's a good question. That question's been posed before. The immediacy of it is to preserve the history of that building and preserve a beautiful structure that's in our town center. Right now, we're simply talking about the outside of the building, where there's going to be I would have to believe, a lot more discussion about the inside of the building as we're finding out what types of things need to be changed for codes on it, how we might want to, for instance, have you ever been in the building before? So the outside of the inside of the building's a lot nicer than one would believe from looking at the outside of the building. I would offer that to you first. The second thing is there's a basement in the building that's could be used for a number of events. From the town using it for different town programs to residents being able to rent it. There's a potential for a kitchen area in there holding funds or fundraising events or anything like that. The first floor of the building is very much a church. There are pews that are in there. I can't imagine that being anything other than events that one would use that you would sit at and look at a stage, whether there's singing, plays going on, things like that, maybe special town meetings or other types of events. It's really up to everyone sitting in this room and everyone that lives in this community to determine what's going to be the best use of that building. We currently have, there was a mention that we love to do studies in this town, and we do. There's currently a study going on for a building use study for all of our buildings in town and how we can best use them as a community. That's going to be folded into that, and that we'll probably be having more discussion on that as the summer wears on. As for a specific use, there's no specific use for that building right now, other than to preserve the history of it, the outside structure, and to have, as you drive by it, see a beautiful building there, and it's the canvas is blank. At that point, we can do anything that we want as a community on the inside.
Thank you for the question. Any last discussion? Article number 1. Hearing none, all those in favor of Article 1 as printed, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That does carry.
Yeah!
Now I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? See you in the fall. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy your holiday weekend. All right, you got it. You got 20 minutes.